This bass was the bass that was used at Lynn Oliver's studio, probably from probably in the 50s, 60s. And the guys, when they would do record dates for Blue Note Records and all of that, Blue Note would always use the studio to rehearse for 2 days. And the bass was, it was in pieces. I mean, it was just raggedy. It was falling apart. And Lynn Oliver had put glue trying to save it. And it was glue stuck all over the place. And so he said, look, it wasn't worth keeping anymore. And so I said, I'll buy it from you. And he sold it to me for $15. And at that time, me and Mickey Roker had an apartment together on 85th Street. So I left it. It meant I always had a bass at home, so that if I was working a club, I was really very busy. So I stayed at home, left this one in the apartment. And Mickey and I called it Whispering Willie because it had so many holes in it. You could just barely hear the sound of the bass. But it felt good. The neck really felt good for me, for my hands. And I've had problems with my hands from playing football, when I was in college. So it felt really comfortable. And after a couple of years, I put it in the shop. And the bass maker lived on Hastings on the Hudson, did all of the symphony players, repaired all of their basses, and he had it for 5 years because it took a long time to open it and for the wood and all of that. And after 5 years, I had no idea what it was going to sound like, but I was just a gamble that it would possibly be a great bass player. And it turned out to be a good sounding bass. Now, I don't play the string bass that much, so when good bass players come in town, we're having problems now of transporting basses around. So if there's a really good bass player, a guy just used it for 3 weeks from England, a really good bass player comes, and when I go to England, if I need a string bass, I use his instruments there. But I feel good with somebody who really knows how to play the instrument because the instrument is being played. I feel like sitting in the corner is neglect by me, and so I started to feel guilty to the bass. So he played it last week, and it just opens it a little bit the more it's played. So this is it. I spent at least 15 to 20 grand on having the whole thing overhauled. I had lent the bass years ago to, I was working with Peggy Lee, and when I left Peggy, the bass player that joined her was doing a concert in New York somewhere, so I lent him the bass. They were bringing the bass home, and they got in front of my apartment, taking it out of the car, and the bass player thought the guitarist was holding it, and it fell, and it broke the neck, So I've since had the neck repaired and everything, So that's kind of the history of, which I think the instrument is valued probably at 50 or 60 grand. So it's a nice, piece of apparatus. And I was hoping, I had a grandson who was playing the bass, but he passed away with asthma, and he had just started to play the string bass, so I was hoping that I could pass it on to him, but I have to give it to my son Tom Varney now, And that's the history of a nice instrument.